All right, so thanks to all of our wonderful participants. We love folks involved in their own health. I do. So first, I'm going to start with my little spiel, and then we're going to move into things that are more interactive, since the Clip Conference is by nature supposed to be very interactive. The reason I wanted to do this workshop in the first place is because the emphasis on talking euphemistically about our bodies, particularly our genitals, having sex, fucking, however we want to code it in this space, highlights many of the ways American culture shies away from talking about sex in a frank and honest manner, which disproportionately affects LGBT queer communities, communities of color, female-bodied folks, etc., like people on the margins, is who gets hurt by the fact that we're always asked to talk about our bodies euphemistically. You know, instead of saying vagina to a doctor, we say pussy. You know, like cunt, or like whatever, you know, and of course this varies so regionally. I was in New Orleans and I was hearing things like pearl tongue. I was like, can anyone else think of examples of how like this hurts particularly like queer communities, communities of color, or totally? Can I have your name before you go in?
Johnson. And if you use like euphemism, they will think you're like uneducated and don't know like the correct terms and know like what it does.
Also, like female-bodied folks like aren't actually taught their parts of their body. Like I've met many women who thought that they had two hymens, thought that they had like women who thought that they had like actual prostates, like thought that they like had grown prostates. So I think that it's especially important when we're talking about euphemisms to like while we're going to use our euphemisms, like embed like it's not going to sound as clinical as I would really like for you to stick your penis inside of my vagina. It is full of mucus, but at the same time, we should be able to empower ourselves to talk to our doctors, our friends who have questions about their own bodies in ways that are educated, because education is part of empowerment. So one of the other reasons I decided to do this in New Orleans, which is the first place that I did that while I was working with Women with a Vision, a harm reduction and safe passage company, actually not even a company, a kind of a nonprofit. They lost everything in Hurricane Katrina. Was that the Center for Disease Control do not consider female-bodied folk who have sex exclusively with female-bodied folk to be a risk group for STDs or HIV, which means that we are recipients of exactly 0% of funding for HIV research and prevention. It means that when we do carry STDs, we are asked continuously what our male partners did, even though there's only been one documented case of women, well, they were women-identified people who contracted HIV from one another, and that was from deep play, blood on a dildo that was shared, used for deep anal play. So like cocks, like as wonderful as they can be, we don't always clean our cocks as well as we could be. So I'm hoping to empower like particularly queer people, but also people who like butt plugs, who, even though like queer is a big enough umbrella that like a lot of people who are into kinky sex or just into fucking, wild, hot, sweaty, urgent fucking, can fall under the queer umbrella. So if you like, you know, getting whipped, you're already underneath the queer umbrella. You like getting handcuffed, tied up, whatever you like, you're probably falling under this umbrella right now. So I think that empowering people to know how to clean themselves and also like prevent STDs is essential for a reproductive rights framework to even work. For us to even conceptualize things, we have to maintain our own health. So over this Lipicosis workshop, I'm going to talk about safer sex supplies, like condoms, female condoms, gloves, how we can make dental dams out of anything really, because dental dams are like, I feel like from anecdotally, or what I hear among my friend group, what I hear when I go around and speak to other lesbians, or like other queer female-bodied folk, we're not using dental dams, which is really dangerous. I'd also like before the end of this, like if anyone has like reasons why they don't use like safer sex supplies that they'd like to put in the box, you could put those in here in our wonderful question and answer box, yeah. And we can talk a little bit about those at the end of the thing. You guys can run up whenever, but I'd really like for the end of this workshop to be a conversation about how we can make our communities safer, healthier, and more sustainable, because like historically, we're not living that long. We're not living as long as like our straight counterparts. We're not living as long as gender conforming people, cisgendered folks. And I think like a lot of that reason is because we've incorporated so much of a culture of death into our culture of sex. So we're going to talk a little more about sex toy material. and then of course what you came here for, cleaning and maintenance. So first of all, dental dams, the most reviled word in lesbian sex. Pulling out the dental dam can often be the buzzkill. We've all heard interesting things about when you do whip out the mint-flavored, lip-having dental dam. They're thick often. They're often really, really thick. The flavors are not that delicious. Lube gets like really awkward. One of the ways that you can keep a dental dam like safe throughout your entire encounter, I really like the latex dams because they're really, really stretchy. As you can see, I can wrap them around my head. You know, your vagina is not going to be as big as my head. I mean, actually, I don't want to be that limiting. Even if your vagina is as big as my head. Also, they're very good for frottage, so you can just put them right in between. I'm wearing a skirt, so that would just be indecent, but I wouldn't mind it, but I feel like there'd be complaints. So when you're grinding yourself together, please. Also, like instead of dental dams, like plastic wrap, like non-microwavable plastic wrap works really, really well for creating a dental dam. It's a lot more like sensitive. It wrinkles a lot easier, and if you put just a drop of lube on the other side, I think it's pretty divine. So that's always helpful for frottage or frottage, however. I'm supposed to say that to different groups of people who are or not French. You can put just a drop of lube. Kendra, how do I say it? Tell me how I say it. Yeah, you do.
You know.
But I'm just going to say fromage the entire time. And yes.
What does that even mean?
Okay, I wish I had thought like in my mind when I was thinking about my workshop. I was like big and powerful, and I had a blackboard behind me, and I was going to draw you things. But I don't get a chance to do that. Frottage is really any. Does anyone know where the word tribade came from, or tribadism? Nobody. Tribade was the first name for women who had sex with women because of the idea of like scissoring. Does anyone know what scissoring is? Pussy bumping, like that's frottage. So like a lot of different names. That's why we talk about euphemism. Yeah, pussy bumping. I mean like bumping and grinding. Like however we code it, like that's what you're doing. Like vaginal to vaginal contact is frottage. Frottage, pussy bumping, whatever you want to call it. Clyde is just blushing. Clyde is blushing. I'm sorry, whoever that is. So if you just want to stick that in between, you would want to use an unflavored. Make sure that there's nothing with sugar in it, because sugar, just in general, like irritates bodies. Like you're not supposed to get it in your mucous membranes. It's not a great product for anyone. I'm so glad they gave you little bottles of water. So I'm going to try to drink this as interestingly as possible. I'll stay tuned. Okay. So also with oral anal contact, dental dams are of the utmost important, especially with the risk of hepatitis, and just like general hygiene concerns. I mean, a lot of people are like, I don't want shit in my mouth, but like that's not even really what I'm talking about. Washing, giving yourself like enemas beforehand, all things you can do to make anal sex less taboo, less, anusy, if you will. But also in a pinch, for those of us who love ribbing, myself included in that number, you can always just break out the dental dam. Okay. Yeah. So I'm sure somebody in the audience knows how to make dental dams out of a lot of different things. Who's the MacGyver of dental dams? Again, our trusty volunteer. I feel like you should be my permanent assistant.